How are you on Monday, July the 15th, 2024? I wrote a book on Lou Gehrig. It was a labor of love. His comprehensive stats, his box scores from 1923 to 1939. This video, sadly, the 1939 season. Lou Gehrig consecutive game streak ends at 2,130 games. He only plays 8 games, takes himself out of the lineup. There was indication in spring training that year, 1939, that something was wrong with Lou. Multiple sclerosis was a diagnosis later on. But what happened, Lou noticed that he didn't have the energy as much as he did. Couldn't run as fast. His fielding at first base was slow. There were reports that some games he couldn't bend over as much to field the ball. And there was one game, I believe, where he was running the bases and just ran out of energy and just really slowed down, turned his head, went back to the dugout, and people on the ball field were saying, "What happened, Lou?" He appeared in 8 games, 33 at-bats. No, 28 at-bats. Scored 2 runs. So a streak of 100 runs scored season ends at 13 seasons in a row, 100 or more runs scored. He only has 2, because it's only 8 games. He has 4 hits. He got a hit on April 21st that year, went 1 for 2 with a single and scored a run. Then on April 25th, he got 2 hits in the game, 2 singles. April 29th, he got a base hit. So that is a total of 4 hits. He had 1 RBI. And then his last game was April 30th, 1939. He went 0 for 4. And he had a strikeout. He had 1 strikeout that year. He had 5 walks. Did not hit a homer. Did not have a double or a triple. All he had was 4 singles in 1939. He bats 143 because he went 4 for 28. That's a 143 average. It doesn't affect much his career average because his career average ends up to be 340. How about that? Slugging on base, 273, 27%, not much. And his slugging was only 143 because he didn't have an extra base hit. He had 4 total bases, so his string of 300 or more total bases ends at 12 in a row. The season is a bust for Lou Gehrig because he doesn't get to play the whole season. Think of this. He's at 493 homers entering the 1939 season, and he's 36 years old. Do you think he would have hit 7 homers if he played the whole year? Yes, he would have been over 500 homers. Let's say he gets 30. He would have ended up with 523 homers if he hits 30 that year. He has 1,995 RBIs. Excuse me. Okay. Let me get this. All right, that helps. Has 1,995 RBIs. If he plays the whole season, how many RBIs do you think he would have had? Well, he had a streak of 100 or more, 13 in a row. You think he would have got 100 more? If he had played 150 games, I think he would have had 100 more. That means he would have had 2,095 RBIs. So he broke 2,000 RBIs. He had the 1,888 runs scored. Do you think he would have had 100 runs scored? He had a streak going. It's possible he would have had 2,000 runs scored on his line, his resume. if he played the whole season. And look at, he's 36 years old. Let's say he plays the seasons at age 37, 38, 39, and 40. That's 4 more years. Add maybe 400 more runs scored. He would have had 2,400 runs scored. Add 4 more years to the RBIs. If he plays 1939, he would have been over 2,000. He would have had 2,400 RBIs. Add 30 homers each season for another 40 years. He was at 523 after 1939 season. 4 more years at 30 homers at 120, right? So 523 and 120 would have been about 643, maybe close to 650 home runs. Let's say he bats 300. Maybe his batting average goes up to about 342, Ted Williams and Babe Ruth territory. Just think of the possibilities if Lou Gehrig had had a 20-year career. And even at age 40, maybe he plays 2 more years. Lou Gehrig could have ended up with maybe close to 700 homers, 2,500 RBIs, 2,500 runs scored, and of course he ends up with, in the 17 years, he had 2,700 hits. He plays those extra 4 years, he's over 32, maybe close to 3,500 hits with another 4 to 5 years of playing. Maybe 6 years. 3,500. So here's Lou Gehrig's stats. Imaginary if he had just played 5 to 6 more years. Probably 2,800 games. Probably 2,500 runs scored. 600 doubles. 200 triples. 700 homers. That's 5 or 6 more years. 2,500 RBIs. Maybe 342 batting average. 6,000, 6,500 total bases. What if, for Lou Gehrig, if he had just kept on playing, but that illness stopped him in the 1939 season at age 36. Of course, we know he died. How old was he when he died? Oh, man. Do you know that Lou Gehrig was almost 38 when he died? Stopped playing at 36, and 2 years later, it says he died on June 2nd, 1941. Stopped playing 1939, right? So that's 2 years. He was 37 years and 348 days. So that means he was about 20 days shy of his 38th birthday. Lou Gehrig, one of the most iconic sports figures in American history. And that's why I wrote the book, Lou Gehrig. His comprehensive look at his stats and box scores. And I was not only impressed, but in awe of this guy. I remember visiting the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. 3 times I've been there. And went into the hall where they have all the plaques. I looked at Lou Gehrig's, and it had his picture there, and his years, accomplishments. At that time, when I looked at it, I said, oh, just another guy, had a respectable career. But when I dove in to his accomplishments and achievements and his stats and box scores and looked at every single game he played, I come away with the realization that this guy was one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And in my book, he's ranked number 3, greatest of all time, behind Babe Ruth, number 1, Lou Gehrig, or Ty Cobb, number 2. Lou Gehrig is ranked number 3. And what I'll do in the next video, I'm going to do a recap, and I'm going to highlight the accomplishments of Lou Gehrig. And then I'm going to compare that with Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb, and give you the reason why Lou Gehrig is number 3. All right, we'll do that next video. It'll be called the Lou Gehrig Recap. Talk to you later. I'm out.